Okay, let's do this. All right, everybody. Hello, welcome. Thanks for making it. This is just my first day I've given this class, so you're the second ones. The nerves are just about gone, so we're here just in time. So I'm Beth Sanford. I'm a certified feline master groomer at Whisker Park. So let's go ahead and get started. So I am a cat lover and a cat groomer. It all started in 1984 when I had Tigger the Tabby, who is my baby. I have always been a cat lover ever since. In 2008, I actually started doing some home grooming. I got a standard poodle who I fell in love with. Valentine, I adopted him. And I realized I was in college that poodle grooming is very expensive. So might as well buy a pair of clippers and do it myself. So I was kind of like dabbling in grooming, being a home groomer. And then I made some really big life changes about 18 years after that. And I was like, I think I'm going to take this grooming thing a little more seriously. And by then I had 8 years of grooming a standard poodle under my belt, along with neighbors' dogs and family's dogs and things like that. So I worked in a corporate environment. And then I started working for a mobile grooming franchise. And then after that, I was like, I really dig this thing. I think I'm going to get my own van. And I did. And I started Squeaky Clean Grooming, mobile dog grooming. During that time, I was grooming cats. When I was at the mobile grooming franchise before I had my own business, there was, they were like, hey, you're grooming dogs. You want to try to groom some cats? And I was like, never done that. Sure. I've always had cats. They groom themselves. But sure, I'll do it. So they opened a book and they showed me a picture of a cat that was shaved. And they were like, do that. And I was like, cool, I will. So I did it, and I was a terrible cat groomer. I was awful. I was getting scratched, not doing very well with the cats. I was trying really hard, but it was super difficult, and I just felt like, oh, gosh, I really want to help these cats because it exposed me to the world of cat grooming to see that there are a lot of cats that needed help, that there was just not many options. And so I really wanted to help these cats since I love them so much. And after I had bought my van and started doing Squeaky Clean, I went to a trade show and there was a presentation on cat grooming. And I thought, okay, I'll go see what this is about. And there was a lady who's like, do you love cat grooming? Are you interested in it? But you're getting scratched and you think there could be a better way. I was like, preach. Yes, please tell me. And she was from the National Cat Groomers Institute. And so right that day I bought the syllabus. I started on my journey to become a cat groomer. And I got my certification in 2021. And then after that, I was have 2 mobile vans at this point because our COVID project was build another van for cats. And except I was in a van grooming cats all day. And I was like, God, this is my life. I'm never leaving this van. All these cats. And I was turning cats away. So I thought, you know what? I can't train anybody in here. I'm going to open a salon. And I did. So I have the first ever cat grooming salon in Central Florida. And that's me with Friendly Noodles. If you don't follow at Friendly Noodles, he's like an internet famous cat. He comes to my salon and he's so adorable. And I love him. So who's heard cats groom themselves? Everybody, right? Cats groom themselves. You don't have to worry. So cats lick themselves. They ingest their hair. They go ahead and they use their claws and claw at things to remove the sheaths. That's what cats do. And that's all cats do. So they try. They try to groom themselves. So when do cats need help with this sort of thing, with grooming? So when they get problems. Not all cats need help grooming, but these are the problems that can happen. So nails that the sheath cannot be shed through scratching. They can get overgrown and even curl into the paw pad. Eye buildup. Cats can't, they can paw at their eyes, but sometimes they get the buildup that cannot go away. They can't get that away. So what's going to happen? They can get eye infections from that sort of thing. Ear cleaning. Cats cannot clean their own ears. They can do this. They can paw. They can scratch. But they can't get inside there. Cats can't do that either. And so what can happen? You guys have seen ear mites, right? Yucky, yucky kitty ears. That can happen. Hairballs. I have a long-haired cat, and this happens. You walk in the morning to a nice, wet, gross thing on the ground. So the shedding coat, they ingest that. Then they can't pass it. So they throw it up. I've had clients, though, come into the salon because they get hair-related blockages. They've had to have a surgery where their own hair, they ingest it and they cannot pass it. And then, of course, we were talking earlier, the first class, tangles, clumps, a coat that cannot be licked into order, matting or a pelted coat, it's painful and restricting. So a cat can't take care of that either. So we're going to talk about these things. So let's talk about nails. What's up with the murder mittens, all right? So cats' nails grow in layers, their front nails. As the new layers grow, the outer layers lose the blood flow. The outer layer of that nail is called the sheath. So you've probably seen those if you have a cat, those little pieces of nail lying around. So the sheath sheds to expose the sharper, newer layer underneath. So the problems happen when that outer layer, it can't shed naturally. So I see this most common in the geriatric cats, the cats that develop arthritis, or they just aren't as strong as they used to be. So they'll try to do that extension to get those, but instead of being able to completely extend the nails, they just like this, they just lose that strength. And so their nails will continue to grow. So this is a cat that came into the salon. This picture is actually right after I cut that nail in the middle with a little nail trimmer. And so you can see it had grown enough so that the nail was curved and embedded just enough in the little toe bean to cause some discomfort there. And so this can be bad because they can, in worst case scenarios, keep growing, get infected, but mostly just super painful for the kitty. So this cat was not able to shed the outer layers. As the nail grew, it got longer and curved, eventually piercing into the pad. I've seen in extreme cases where the nail just keeps growing, keeps curving around. It looks like a horn, like a ram's horn, keeps going. So we want to keep this from happening. So easy enough, we're going to trim the nails. So this is show you exactly kind of ballpark where to trim the nails. The nice thing about cat nails is they are different from dog nails. All cat nails are pink. If you see cat nails that look like they're black or discolored, you just need to clean them because they often get this kind of gunky buildup on some kitty nails. And once you clean that off, you'll be able to see where the quick is, this pink portion, and cut below that where the blood flow is no longer at. So cutting the nails monthly definitely will make sure you have healthy nail growth. So here's some tools and techniques to help the kitty. So tools, everybody, nail trimmers, that easy. You don't need much. If your kitty's good, this may be all you need to trim their nails. Now, I do deal with some feisty felines in the salon, and so I do have some tools that I use for them. So first off, I have the comb. If a kitty is naughty, or I even suspect any sort of being naughty, this is a kitty comb. So it goes right on their head, over their head. So you secure it, and this will keep you out of the bite zone. So this goes on the cat. And so when you're trimming those nails, once this cone is applied, you can easily grab underneath the kitty, grab one paw at a time, boop, 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 boop. Trim those nails. A towel is super helpful. I'm sure you guys have had to wrap kitties in towels before. That's my number one tool actually I use as a groomer. It's not this stuff, it's a towel. So that over there is also something that's good when cats are just too stimulated. They're freaked out. This is called a happy hoodie. I use these on a lot of cats in the salon. So it puts their ears back so they can't really hear very well, applies a little pressure to their head, seems to keep them a lot calmer. So they come in different sizes. And so a lot of times I'll use these kind of tools for not just this stuff, but other things we're going to talk about. So eye care. So now we're on to the eyes. So those nails are trimmed every month or so to keep them growing nice. And now eyes. So who needs the eye care? So it's going to be those typically flatter faced cats. You're going to see those are the cats that collect a lot of discharge around the eyes. Your Persian types, Himalayan types, exotic types. However, normal cats, normal, all cats can have problems around the eyes. You just want to, if you notice a cat that has that eye buildup, those are the cats you're going to want to target for potentially daily eye cleaning, especially if the buildup happens daily. Because what can happen around there is that once that buildup starts to collect and it's on top of the eyes and the skin, it harbors bacteria and all that wetness. Next thing you know, the bacteria is on top of the skin. Now the skin is getting inflamed and getting infected. And then after the skin is infected, now we have an eye infection. And now we have an upper respiratory infection. So just a little eye discharge, if it's persistent and daily, can lead to really serious problems. So we want to go ahead and clean that potentially daily. So for that, I use a product. You can use saline, but I use a product for cats. It's the cat eye rinse. And so I'm just going to apply it to the cotton pad. Gently wipe around the eyes. You don't want to wipe the eye itself because you don't want to scratch their eyes, but you want to get into those little folds and crevices all around the eye to get all of that discharge off. And I go through a lot of cotton pads because when one is dirty and goopy, I'm going to use another. I'm going to get it until it's as clean as I can. So that's a good way to apply on the pad, gently wipe until they're clean and pleased. And I have a Himalayan cat. I have to do this daily to keep his eyes in order. All right. Next, ear cleaning. So clean ears regularly to check for mites or infections. So those mites, I am a groomer. I can't give any sort of medical advice, but I look in every cat's ears. I'm going to clean in every single kitty's ears and look inside because it can tell me a few things. If there's that big dischargey weird buildup, I'm going to be like, okay, I'll clean that. And I'm going to tell the owner, keep an eye on this because this is not normal. Also, when you look in a cat's ears, you can tell from the coloration what color is inside the cat's ears. If you see a cat's ears, their skin, and it looks yellow, they can have jaundice. They can have some liver, kidney, some serious issues. So ear care is great to just give an overall once over, just look in there, clean it out. So tools and techniques. For the ear cleaner, I use the same thing, cotton rounds, and a product. You can use anything that's going to be nice and have a drying agent. I use this one. It has acetic acid, which is vinegar. So it's going to be gentle enough for daily use. I don't typically soak inside the ears. Sometimes, you have poodles and doodles, big dogs, and you just get all that wet. Typically not what I'm going to do for a cat. I will get this nice and wet, but I'm going to wipe and clean only where I can see. So I'm going to go ahead and again, put this on the cotton pad, get in there, wipe all around, throw this one out, get another one, keep going until it's clean. And then when I'm cleaning from ear to ear or eye to eye, I'm not going to use the same cotton pad, even if it's clean, from one ear to the other, just in case I can't see things. I don't want to spread any sort of bacteria or anything from one ear to the other. We're going to be safe. And then cats have these little folds inside of their ears. And so you can use a Q-tip to get in there. And so when you use the Q-tip, I typically wet these tips with some of this, with the product, and it helps to clean and break up the debris a little bit better. And so same thing, you're not going to use one Q-tip from one ear to the other. And then I do a lot of this stuff in the salon after the bath, and I wrap the kitties in a towel, and it's typically their favorite thing to have like their eyes wiped. They're just like loving it, getting in their ears. They're like, oh yeah. I'm like, oh, I'm tickling your brain and you like it, So they typically like these sort of things because again, cats can't clean in their ears. So I think it just feels pretty good to them most of the time. So matting. Oh man, who's seen a matted cat in here? Almost everybody, right? So let's talk about matting. What causes this? So cats are naturally oily creatures, and cats naturally shed. So what happens with cats is they have these oils, they have this shedding coat, and they're licking themselves. But when cats can't keep up with the amount of shedding coat that's coming off of them, the shed coat ends up getting stuck in the oily patches on their bodies. So shed coat, it creates a small tangle. So it starts as shedding coat coming out. Cat's like, nope, can't get that. Then more shed coat comes underneath. Gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it creates this mat, this really tight matted spot on the kitty. So we're going to see a few matted pictures. Not that you need to see it. I guess you guys see enough. But no, this cat, you can see, it was just this big spot right there on its back. So it had a large mat in the middle of her back. And so I ended up doing a line cut, and you can see it came off just all in one piece. And so we reset this coat and gave the cat a bath, and this didn't happen again. So, yep. So here is a matted cat also. you can see that this is one solid piece. I don't know if you can tell from the video. That's one piece I'm pinching, another piece. It was completely, like, that's what we refer to as a pelt typically, because it's over the whole cat. And you can see where I shaved it off. Look at the discoloration. Look how tight that was to the skin. So this is matting, and it's most prevalent where the cat is the oiliest, and the cat also cannot reach to lick the shed coat. So that's why you see it on these places a lot. So let's go ahead to the next slide, and we're going to talk about how we, oh yes, this is a pelt. So this was removed from a Persian cat that was not professionally groomed for over a year. So I have this actually framed in my salon, so you can come in and see it. This is the top of the cat. I have it framed from the underside because then you can see the poop that's stuck in there and everything else. So this was pretty bad. This was one of the worst cases of matting I had seen, and it's super thick. So let's keep this from happening, all right? We want to keep our cats healthy, happy. Let's keep it from happening. How do we prevent matting? So we're going to remove the shedding coat to keep the tangles from forming. So we're going to use a comb or brush that can get through the coat to the skin. I'll go over some of the tools, but I don't actually use any brushes in my salon. I groom cats all day, every day. I use combs. These actually go through the coat all the way to the skin, and I can get the most hair out with tools like this. So how often, people say, how often should I groom my cat? How often should I help comb them? As often as you need it, because cats shed at different rates. Every kitty's a little bit different. Cats' hair lengths are different. And so if you see there's coat that's just starting to build up, it's starting to come out, that's when you know, okay, it's combing time. And you can comb every day, sometimes twice a day, and then to get that under control. And then you can see how often they really need it, because sometimes heavy shedding can happen seasonally. There was a few weeks back where every cat coming into the salon was like a matted mess. and it was just because we were having a big seasonal shed. Everybody was. And so, they were not, the pet parents were not able to keep up with the amount that was just coming off at home. So we can make it a nice experience for the cat by using a few treats. That's what I've started doing recently. You can have one person using a little licky treat while the other person, make it a 2-person job. Lick, comb, get a little bit of this done to make it a great experience. But cats do. They have this, what we call we call it a turkey timer, because once they've had enough handling, they will be done with you, okay? And they will tell you in one way or another. They will either swipe at you, growl at you, hiss at you, scratch you. So the problem is sometimes they have a lot of shedding coat. You can't get to all of it. So you can break it up into a couple sessions, okay? We don't have to do it all at once if they can't handle it. So, cat mat myth. Only long-haired cats get tangles. No way. No way. So oily cats, we already learned oily coat, shed coat causes tangles. So oily cats with too much shedding coat can get tangles, most common in overweight or geriatric cats. I see this all the time. That they just, especially, I call them butterballs. The older cats, the big kitties. I've had to shave short-haired cats because they just had so much matting on them that there was no other way. And once you shave them, they definitely look like a turkey because they're so big. And so these are the cats. It just happens. You see the cats that can't lick around their booty. They'll get the matting at the back end, base of the tail, and these oily spots. So yeah, even short-haired cats can get it. This boy, isn't he cute? So did you know that short-haired cats have a shorter coat cycle than long-haired cats? This means their hair sheds faster in comparison. They shed more hair more frequently than long-haired cats. So you would think like, oh, this long-haired cat, there's hair everywhere. But no, you just see it because it's this long and over all your stuff. A short-haired cat is actually going to shed more often. And since the short hair is easier to digest and pass, they may not have as many hair-related problems because they're able to take care of it more on their own. But they are going to shed way more than a long-haired cat. This is actually the hair that came off of that cat. He was definitely shedding a lot because he had an oily coat where he didn't get to the back end. He's kind of a big boy. And so I had to help and do a lot of combing to get that off. tools. So these are the tools that I'm going to use. I use these professionally. These are my tools. So I love this comb. This is a great tool. You can get these kind of combs on Chewy. This is great for long hair cats. If you have a long hair kitty, add it to a Chewy order. Like, it's going to help because it goes all the way to the skin. It's going to get through that coat. You don't overcomb because sometimes you can actually pull out too much hair on the tail, like do a little overcombing. So this one won't let that happen so much. And then the next comb I use is this one. So this one is a little finer. The teeth are closer together. This is great for great for all coat types. This one will do great on almost every single coat type. The only coat that it isn't great for is once in a while I will get this cat with the most finest coat I've ever seen, like super small hairs. And that's when I have to switch to the finer tooth comb. So this side is kind of, we were talking in the last class, kind of like a flea comb. But I start with this one to get the bulk of the shedding off. I'm going to move down to get more shed coat off. And then this is how I finish every kitty. So that I'm going to use the finest comb to get as much shed coat off, to get them in great shape for them to go home. But I always say, if anybody finds anything that works well, let me know, because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Okay? I follow a lot of cat groomers on TikTok. I love it because they try all these gimmicky products first, and then they'll post their videos. I'm like, good thing I didn't buy that one. Cool. Because they can see what works and what doesn't. So I always encourage anybody, find something, tell me. So now we're going to go to more advanced cat care. So this is the stuff that I see in the salon. We're going to talk about trimming, bathing, those sort of things. So what happens when there's big problems? Big matting. Matting that's larger than a dime, close to the skin, and or connected over large portions of the cat must be shaved. You can't get around it. The cat's not going to lick it off. You're not going to be able to comb it off. It's going to tug just too much. It's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to have to shave it. So we do spot shaving or a line cut to get rid of those matting and reset that coat. So proper cat bathing, that's going to reduce the oil buildup in the coat. That makes removing the shedding coat a lot easier. So this can be done on a regular basis. And then what I do in the salon, every cat gets a bath, pretty much every cat, because I'm going to do in the salon what we call preventative maintenance grooming, which is needed for the long-haired cats that start to have grooming-related problems. So I'll see cats, sometimes it'll be a person will call me and they'll be like, I've had my cat, he's 13 years old, he's never had any problems before, and all of a sudden, these mats pop up. And I'm like, awesome, you went 13 years with a long-coated cat that didn't have any problems. That is great. Come to my salon. I'm going to help you out. And so for a cat like that, it can happen at any time. I have a theory in which cats get to a certain age and then they're just like, I don't feel it anymore. I'm just done. I'm done grooming myself. I've been doing this for like 8+ years. I'm over it. So I don't know exactly if that's what's going on, but yeah, a lot of cats, especially when they get older, they start having these problems. So what are we going to do? So I'm going to talk a little bit about bathing because that's what I do. Always trim the nails first. Do not try to put any water on a cat ever without trimming the nails because even the sweetest kitty could still want to escape and just slice you to pieces. So let's do that. We're going to avoid getting water in the face. Look, see this kitty? I'm using this cone in this picture to keep the water so it's not going in the kitty's face. Cats hate having water poured on their head. Yeah, you've seen those cute videos about cats in the sink, like loving it and doing this, but that's them doing it to themselves. Don't attempt to do that to a cat because they hate surprises. So I use a sink. I'm not going to submerge a cat. I'm going to use a sink with a handheld sprayer and start with warm water and use the sprayer. My sprayer has adjustable pressure. So I'm going to let the water drain, just like the dog grooming tubs where the water all just drains out. Same thing for a cat. You don't want to submerge. So I always start at the base of the tail with regular water. I'm not going to put soap on the cat right away because let's just say you put soap on the cat and then you turn the water on and then the cat is gone, soapy cat lost. You have a big problem. And then what's going to happen? That soap is going to be just like the oils at this point. It's going to keep on that coat, cause buildup, cause a problem. So let's start with the water first to see how your kitty's going to do. And then I'm going to use a cat-specific cleansers. I use different cleansers in the salon, but for basic class, I just brought one that I love that you can get online. It's called Chubb's Bar, and it's just a bathing bar designed for cats. It cleanses, it degreases, it's gonna help with a lot of the oily buildup. I have like more I have like groomer's goop, I have like serious degreasers in my salon, but for anybody who's just starting to bathe their kitty, don't gotta go crazy. You can use just a basic soap like this on your kitty. Use it to lather really, really well. You're gonna thoroughly lather, get the spots that are oily on the back end, around the feet, and then rinse thoroughly. And then after you thoroughly rinse again, because you don't want to leave any soap on the kitty. And then if you can, I have the professional tools, of course, like a high velocity dryer. But if you can dry thoroughly, if you've properly degreased the cat, once you start drying the cat, it will dry so fast because there's no oils on the cat's skin. It's going to dry very quickly. So you can use a home hair dryer or something if you wanted to finish off the cat and the cat's tolerant of that. Any cat that gets dried, I'm going to use a happy hoodie while I'm drying the kitty. I'm going to put this on because they can't hear the noise as much. I'm going to put in the dryer. They're going to wear a cone if they can tolerate this. And then I'm going to dry them very thoroughly. And then after they're dried, I'm going to go through the steps and comb them out. So for home grooming, if this is something you want to do for your kitty, just take it easy on your kitty. You know, do what you can. Make it as comfortable as possible for them. So now this is kitty shaving. So when the cat is matted and you got to get these mats off, shaving is the only option. So I use a couple of tools. You know, I'm going to use my clipper. So I'd say this is not the first step. If you've never held clippers before, get somebody who's held clippers. You know, I want you to have some experience handling a kitty before you try to do this properly. So use a clipper with a 10 blade. That is the blade that's on here. It's going to be a 10. This is the best blade for shaving a kitty because anything wider than that can catch the skin, and anything narrower than that, you're more likely to cut the cat. So, and when you are shaving a kitty, cat skin is really thin. Like, it is thinner than dog skin. And so you're way more likely to cut if these teeth go into the skin. So anytime I'm shaving a cat, I want to pull the skin really, really tight so this can go right underneath those matted areas. And then if you're doing a big shave, you want to check your blades. Make sure, because they will heat up. And so you want to check to make sure they're not hot. And it's a good idea to have a second clipper blade or clipper so that you can change it out in case your clipper starts to get hot. So this is a kitty I did. So he was in a full coat and he just would get tangles in the armpits. He's like pushing me. He's like, no, man, no, not today. And so all I had to do, there was like 3 little spots here. So I'm just getting underneath it to pull out this mat. This is like a best case scenario. Little mat in the armpit. There we go. Little mat. So it was connected in 3 places, which made it really hard for the cat. It was pulling him pretty bad. So we did a little shave on him. So that's the takeaway from this. Hope you take away that cats don't always groom themselves, right? No. Cats do need help with grooming, just like dogs. You know, we say that when people have like a Persian, a Maine Coon, these big fluffy cats, it's like you have just gotten the doodle of the cats. Like, they do require maintenance, just like dogs do. Nail trimming is important for healthy nail growth. Ear cleaning helps identify health problems. Matting can be prevented by combing your kitty. Bathing will reduce the oil so the shed coat can easily release. And shaving and trimming is necessary for large matting. There's cats that come into the salon and their owners tell me after that they leave and they get their bath and they're all combed out, say, oh, my cat went home and just bathed itself for hours, like licked itself. It's like, yeah, because now it had no oils and it can actually do what it wants to do, which is put its scent back on and groom itself a little bit. So they do that a lot. But yeah, so do you have any questions?